Okay, so like I was saying just a few seconds ago before we hit the cameras on, that every time we have our little meetings, sometimes I have trouble remembering all the stuff I want to talk about. So I got this little spiral rule index card thing that I've been keeping by the couch to help me remember what you and I need to talk about.
You have a notes feature on your phone too.
Yeah.
That can be used. Those lyrics I wrote for you.
Yeah.
I did them all on that.
I don't know what it is, but there's something about this that I just still like.
It's tactile.
Yeah, it's tactile. I can touch it. The first item is there's this company called MDX. Stands for, what was it? Music Data Exchange. Music Data Exchange. And it's the company that helps to make sure that you get your royalties if you're the recording label.
Oh, okay, good.
Not the artist,
Right.
The recording label. And I really didn't know how that worked. I just knew that they did that.
Mm-hmm.
And I had already signed up with them, so they knew Myrtle Avenue Studios existed.
Okay.
And they've been sending me these emails telling me that they'd send the email and it would say something like, nobody has put in any requests for Myrtle Avenue Studios. And I've been getting like once a month. And so that made me start to think that, well, I guess that's what that means is I have to do something to tell them that Myrtle Avenue Studios is the recording studio that's linked to the album and to all the different songs.
Mm.
And so I said, okay, I'm going to respond to that email. So I typed up a little letter and told them that I was the artist and that Myrtle Avenue Studio was the recording label, and that me and the studio, we own the rights to these songs and to the album, because we've got licensing on all that.
Mm-hmm.
And that they need to do whatever they need to do on their end in terms of collecting royalties. And I sent it off. I typed it and then I made a PDF and sent it off. And 3 or 4 days passed and they responded. And their response was that they don't really collect royalties for you, but they do help you in terms of the process to make that happen. And so they sent me like a booklet. I'm going to sneeze here. They sent me kind of like almost like a user's guide for using them for what they do. For somebody like me who doesn't know anything about it.
Right.
And I haven't really looked at it close. I just kind of perused it real quick. But apparently there's a certain form you have to fill out, and it's got to be filled out a certain way. And you got to go through certain steps, and then you send it to them, and then somehow magically all this stuff starts to happen. So I haven't done that yet, but I just wanted to bring you up to speed that's in the works. So I'm not worried about us losing any money or anything, because we're the only ones that are attached to that song, because that's just how it's set up.
Right.
If anything, if we've missed out on any little half pennies, once we get all that done, they'll send them to us. I still don't think we'll be able to buy a Starbucks, but at least I just want to get it in place so I don't have to worry about it, type of a thing. So that's and then they abbreviate their company MDX, Music Data Exchange. MDX is how they abbreviate themselves, and it's free, so that's nice. The other thing I wanted to bring up to speed on is Snapchat. So I've been kind of struggling with Snapchat because it doesn't work like the other platforms, in that anything you do on Snapchat is gone after like 10 seconds. It's up and it's just gone. It's meant for real kind of quick kind of exchange kind of a thing. And there's no way to kind of, there doesn't have like a search feature where you can kind of, find people kind of a thing. It seems like it's more limited to me, and I'm having it's challenging for me to figure out how we can use it. But then what happened was they had this newer feature called Stories. It's similar to what Instagram has, and it's similar to what Facebook has.
Okay.
And so when I found out that it had this thing called Stories, I said, okay, maybe I can use that. So I figured out how to take an image, like the logo from the album cover, and I figured out how to plop that in as a story, and then to attach to that logo a link to the website. Those are only there for 24 hours, though. That's the longest even a story is there. It's like 24 hours. And so the challenge is that I have to be on top of it. I have to constantly be putting something on Stories, because it disappears. Right. And then the only people that are seeing that are the people that are my friends on Snapchat. So let's say you only have 30 friends that are linked to you on Snapchat.
Right.
They're going to get tired of that same story over and over and over again.
Oh yeah.
Right? And people finding me or me finding them, it just seems like it's a little bit more challenging than some of the other platforms. So I took it to the next level. I said, okay, I don't want to burn these people out seeing the same thing. So then I figured out, well, if I can link them to my website, I can find another picture, a different picture, and link them to my Facebook. And in another picture, link them to Django, link them to Spotify, link them to all the other places where I'm found. And so that's going to be my strategy. But still, it's an every 24-hour thing. It's basically, when I wake up in the morning, I set one up. And when I go to bed, I do it again, or whatever, whenever 24 hours ends. And you have to kind of be vigilant and kind of stay on top of it. The thing that's a challenge for that is that the pictures that they allow you to use in order to do that linking to these different places where you find my music, there's very specific size requirements and megabyte requirements. And a lot of the pictures that I have on my phone, like the ones that Sammy took and stuff,
right.
They're so nice that they're big and, it won't take those. And so it's kind of holding me back because although I know how to do it, the pictures that I want to use don't work right now. So I'm going to have to get on my computer and pull up the pictures that I want to use that Sammy did, and I'm going to have to resize them to the size that they want, make sure that the megabytes that they want, it doesn't violate that. And then I have to figure out a way to take those pictures that are in my computer and put them into my phone. And I didn't know how to do that, and so that was another challenge. I was like, how the heck do I do that? I know how to do the opposite, to go from the computer to my phone,
right.
Or from my phone to my computer, but I had to go the opposite direction. How do I go from a Mac into the iPhone? So I went online and I found a guy and he showed me how to do it, but I haven't done that yet. But that's on my list. I'm gonna have to update the pictures that I want. I want a picture to use for linking to Spotify. I want a different picture for SoundCloud. I want a different picture for Django. I want a different picture for Facebook. I want a different picture for everything,
right.
So that it's not so boring for people when they see it.
Right.
I've even thought of, I haven't figured out how to do it yet, but I've even thought of maybe making a picture for each single and send them to a particular single. But I'm going to put that on the back burner. Right now I just want to get them, instead of the individual single that's in Spotify, just get them to Spotify, so that kind of thing. And then as my Snapchat grows, maybe that'll just start to get easier for me. The other reason why all of a sudden I was kind of on the Snapchat kick is, again, I was watching a Gary Vee, and he was doing a thing online on Snapchat specifically. And it was a guy similar to me. He wasn't a music guy, but it was another guy. He was saying, look, Gary, I don't understand how to use Snapchat for business. Tell me specifically how this is going to work. And to sum it all up, he gave him a couple little things of advice, but they weren't real significant. But Gary Vee, basically what he said at the end, he goes, look, he says, the bottom line with Snapchat is there's like over 3 million people that use it. And so it is kind of limiting in some respects for people who want to use it for business. But you better learn to use it now, because as time goes on, they always add new features and make it better.
Right.
And better to learn it now in its kind of, I'll use the word primitive state.
Right.
So that as they start adding things, it's like not a big deal for me. You're like, well, I already know how to use it. It's
You're
like,
just learning one or two things at a time.
Instead of trying to learn it all later.
Yeah.
So that motivated me. It's like, okay, so I need to start thinking about using the Snapchat, if not for now, for the future. So my goal right now is just to make sure that I have those individual pictures that are linked to all the major platforms where I'm located, and I'm just going to start rotating them in on a 24-hour period, and leave it at that for now, type of a thing. So
Seems to make sense.
it seemed to be a good way to go. The other thing on that was, and then, so I was laying on my couch figuring out how to do that. And so I'm looking at it, and just like he says, you need to learn how to use it. It's like, okay. So I turned all my TV off and everything off, and I was just playing with it, trying to figure out what all the buttons and features were. And I found this button called, or this icon that means share. And so I clicked on it, and up came all the different platforms like YouTube, Twitter, Instagram. You can basically take something that you've created in Snapchat and send it over to those platforms. So I thought, okay, that's kind of interesting. Now I already know how to plop things on there, but what is there on Snapchat that would be worth me sending it over to those other platforms? And the thing that would be worth sending is, I don't know if you're familiar with Instagram, but Instagram is connected to that emoji site. You know how they make like a cartoon of you? That it's almost like they're connected together. And so there's an emoji of me, and the background is this bright yellow, and it's got like little dots on it. It's kind of, they call it your snap code.
Okay.
And it's a picture, and people can attach themselves to that and become your friend, you know, type of a thing. It's somehow, it's kind of an interactive kind of thing. And so then I went, oh, I said, so that thing is located in my Snapchat. It's yellow, it's got these weird dots on it, almost like Braille looking thing, and my little emojis on it. If I send that to my Facebook and say, be my friend in Snapchat, if I send it to YouTube, if I send it to Instagram, if I send it to Twitter, in other words, I can send it to all those platforms, and I can tell the other people who are already following me around that, hey, if you're on Snapchat and you want to follow me, there it is. And if they're on Snapchat, they'll know what that is. They'll see it, they go, oh, that's Rose, they call it a snap code. Oh, that's Rose snap code. And they somehow attach to it, and then all of a sudden they become my friend. So, like Gary Vee was saying, in addition to using Snapchat to send them to the platforms, I also am going to be using it to send my snap code to those other platforms, thereby picking up friends that want to follow me around on Snapchat down the road. So I was kind of happy by the end of the night because I found two things that seemed to kind of work for me already, kind of thing. And I did it. I tested it. I pulled up that snap code, and I hit that share button, and I said, you know, send it to Twitter. And, you know, I'm always nervous, man. I was like, what is this going to do? And it does it, you know. And so I made sure I liked what it looked like and everything. And I said, all right, here we go. And I hit it, you know, and it said sent. And I was like, okay. So then I went to my Twitter. I went to my Twitter, and I looked at it, and it was kind of cool. It had the little picture on it, and it said, hey, be my friend on Snapchat or something. It was real simple. And I thought, okay, that's okay. So anybody who's on Twitter that cares anything about what I'm doing, who's also on Snapchat, it gives them the opportunity to go, oh, I'll be his friend. And then I don't know what they do to connect to it, but they do something. And so they're like, okay, so that was cool on the Twitter. Let's try it on Facebook. So then I did it on Facebook, and I liked it there as well. And then I did it on Instagram, and it came out nice over there. So now I feel comfortable with it, that I know that it wasn't that difficult.
Yeah.
You remember how I told you on Instagram how Instagram's almost like your own magazine where it has all the cool pictures of you? And it's kind of fun to look at it because, you know, it's got all these cool pictures that Sammy took, you know. And then there's this one where it's an emoji of me with a bright yellow background with the kind of the Braille stuff. It kind of sticks out like a sore thumb, but in kind of a cool way because anybody that knows Snapchat knows what that is. And they can kind of connect to it. So I successfully sent my snap code out to, and I had to write them down to remember, to Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And on Facebook, remember, I have a personal page and a business page, and I put it on both, just so that it was there. So I think maybe with some time, maybe we'll find some additional uses for Snapchat down the road. But at least we can do that. And that's something. Let's see, what else? I went onto our main website, the official website, and it was partly because you had mentioned it too, and I was kind of like, oh yeah, I hadn't thought of that. I made on my website, there's pages. I made a specific page for the Behind the Tears and Smiles.
Oh, cool.
And I made a specific page for the Retro Row t-shirts. And I described what both of those video series are all about, and then I have links to where you can find those videos. Because the videos aren't on the website, but they'll send you there. And so there's a link to the YouTube and the Facebook, you know, wherever and the Instagram, because they're on Instagram, because they're on IGTV. You know? So now if they go to the website, there's some tabs there that can send them that way. So I thought that was good. That we did that. That made me, what was the other one that I wanted to, I'll get to that. The other thing, watching another Gary Vee, an older one, not real old, last year. He was doing he was a keynote speaker in Finland, and the video I was watching, he was in a room with maybe 5 guys, and they make pizzas. They're a pizza company, I guess a big deal pizza company in Finland, and they'd hired him to come in to consult. And as much as the pizza stuff didn't really interest me or apply, at the beginning he started talking about just Finland, and he was talking to them, and he was saying that he had looked into it before he came because he likes to kind of know what he's talking about. And he was saying that he thought Finland was a very intriguing market in that people aren't paying much attention to it in terms of Facebook and Instagram ads, which means that there aren't very many on their feeds over there. If you're in Finland and you're looking at your feed in terms of ads, I mean, this is a year ago, but there's not as many because people who are trying to sell products, they're not waking up in the morning and go, hey, I know, let's market to Finland,
Right.
That's not happening, so there's not very many. So he was telling them, he was saying, that's good news for you, because he was telling them, you guys need to start doing, much more digital marketing, Instagram and Facebook. He says, and the fact that not very many people are doing it, that means that when it is going to pop up on people's feed, your chances of getting attention are huge.
Yeah.
Because not a lot of people are doing that kind of a thing. And so, remember how we were saying that when we start doing our ads that we did that one that we called The World, but, it ran out of money before it went around the world. It basically ended up just being India, the Middle East, a little bit of Africa, and a little bit of Asia.
Right.
And now we're doing one right now where it's the United States. And my plan was to then, keep going with, different countries. I didn't know which one to pick next because it's kind of a random kind of thing.
Yeah.
I thought to myself, we ought to try Finland. There's no difference in picking Finland than Mexico or Europe or whatever.
True.
And in listening to him in that conversation, it almost sounded like the smaller, more obscure countries in some ways might actually be better. In other words, the United States is the United States, and people are starting to use those ads a lot. And remember, I was telling you the clicks that we're getting for the United States one and the responses that I'm getting I can tell they're substantially less than when we did on the first one. Because there's so many more.
So much competition.
There's competition, a lot more.
We're flooded with everything.
Yes, and so we're getting a response, but it's not like it was on the first one.
Yeah.
And so I bet you if we did Europe, it'd be similar. Maybe not as bad. In any of those places. But if we go country by country, and if we maybe pick some of the more obscure ones, like you said, attention is attention. What's the difference? And get there before anybody else does. Once we're done with Finland, who cares if it changes after that? We got our attention, or it's like it's like kind of like you get in while the getting's good, and then you get out.
Right.
It's like we got our attention. So I think once we're done with this one for the U.S., I think I want to try Finland. And instead of when I did that chart where I was thinking of doing regions of the world, I think it's better if we do specific countries. Instead of doing Europe, we do Germany, France, Spain, individual ones, and we just keep plugging on those once a month, and eventually we're going to get around the globe, and then you and I are going to be able to look at the clicks thing on there, and we're going to know right away. We're going to go, holy crap, they love you in Finland.
Right.
Maybe it's because we were lucky that we got on tip, but whatever the reason is, they know you better there than over here because we could tell just by looking at the results.
Right.
And so we might start to identify certain countries where we're just hitting better than others.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure those patterns will emerge.
Yeah, and if it's not the U.S., it's not the U.S. I always joke about ABBA. ABBA didn't start in the U.S. They started in Australia.
Yeah.
That's where, and then they came to the U.S. late, and a lot of the Beatles started, in England, and then they came to the U.S. later. So, anyway, I think we might try Finland as just our next random country, and then just see how it goes. And I don't think there's any right or wrong. Maybe the way to do it is, since Finland's going to be kind of, it's there's Europe and it's kind of up northern, up that, maybe the next time we do it, we do Australia, which is kind of way down here, kind of spread it out a little bit, and eventually we're going to try to hit everything, kind of a thing. And then I sent you that chart. Remember I sent you that chart? I don't know if you had time to look at it. Gary mentioned that the cost for these ads is different from country to country. And I kind of sat up in my chair or my couch and I kind of went, oh. So, and he says it's because if they're running more of them in the United States, Facebook and Instagram ads, they can charge more. It's supply and demand. If they're running less of them, they're kind of like, hey man, come do some ads over here. So they're going to charge you less. So we're probably going to get less coverage in the U.S. because the costs are going to be a little higher. And we're probably going to get less attention because, like you said, people are going to be already flooded with what they see on their thing. Doesn't mean we shouldn't do it, but it's just something we have to kind of like, oh, okay, that's kind of how it is. Kind of, does that sound logical?
Yeah.
So that's kind of what he. So I hadn't really thought about it that way in my head. And maybe that's why we did so well with all the people in India. Maybe there's not a lot of people doing Facebook, Instagrams over there, so it's popping up on all those ladies' feeds, I mean, my phone was blowing up every day.
Right.
And now it's more of like a little trickle, just a little trickle. It's like deep, deep, and then there won't be anything for a while. Then deep, deep. Whereas before, deep, deep, it was very constant.
Yeah.
And maybe that's why. India, same thing with the Middle East, same thing with Algeria. We were getting that, and then we were getting some from Asia. Those countries in there. I think it's because of the cost, and I think it's because they're seeing it more.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're learning.
Yeah.
We're learning stuff for sure.
Probably a look at the area there. I don't know how big or what the population of Finland is, but there's kind of a whole Northern Europe region there that you might want to.
Well, I want to get all of them, but
you don't want to do all those at once because Finland compared to the United States, or compared to.
Yeah, but Gary mentioned that too. He said I can't remember the population. He said the population. He said, look, because you're just one country and because your population is smaller, when you throw the money at it, let's say it's $10,000 to run for a month. That $10,000. It's going to be just in that one country, which means it's going to be going everywhere in that one country. But when you go, you're going to saturate it. Whereas if you go a region, it's going to take that money, and we're only doing $5 for a month.
Right.
We're not doing, he's talking
$5 a day.
$5 a day. Yeah, $5 a day for a month. These guys he was having conversations. These are big guys. These are big wigs. He was talking 20 grand, 50 grand, kind of a thing. And he was telling them to just do Finland. Because that's kind of where they're known for, maybe I guess later do something else.
Well, they're pizza too.
Yes.
So their product is not highly transportable
exactly.
and it is perishable.
I need to call them and connect their pizza with my music.
There you go.
Say, hey, you guys want to use one of the songs for your delivery music or something, Where when you come in the door, it's I wonder how you feeling, and then there's a pizza.
Yeah.
So I think I think it's going to be better to keep it per country. That way when eventually we'll get around the whole world and you and I 10 years from now are going to be able to say definitively these are the countries where we got a lot of attention for whatever reason. And over here, not so much. And then we can make the next decision after that in terms of what do we do with that information. But right now we don't know. We don't know hardly anything.
Right.
And it might not be the US that sends this down the path that we're hoping it's going to go.
Yeah.
I don't know. And he always says it, and that doesn't matter. He says you can't be U.S. centric.
Right.
It's the world now.
Right.
Your market is not Visalia, it's not California, it's not the United States. Your market is the world, and you're going to have to find the people that like what you do from all over the world and bring them. Oh wow, there's a huge group from India. Great. Oh, there's only a little bit from the U.S. Okay, that's okay too. We'll add them to the pile. We're just going to be pulling them in from everywhere. But we got to find those little pockets. And I looked up Finland. I didn't know if you could do it or not, but apparently you could. I typed into Google. I said, "What type of music does Finland listen to?" Genre, and it came up. And their top genre was pop music, 16.5%. Every other genre was lower than that. Their number one genre in Finland is pop music. I said, "Well, that's good." If I would have pulled it up and it would have came up country music, it would be like, But their number one genre is pop music.
Yeah.
So that's kind of interesting too. So that might be something we, maybe I didn't Google that for India, but maybe it would have come up pop music too because they seem to like it. I don't know. Seems like there's a lot of variables.
Sure.
So I don't know. Any thoughts on any of that? You think anything that makes sense?
Yeah.
Thank God for Gary Vee.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was funny just listening to him talk to those guys. They would throw out these questions that, it's marketing, business stuff, and even though you and I have been involved in that, other endeavors, when you're at those levels, some of the terminology and the way that they're talking about it's kind of like what, but in my mind I was like, God, how does Gary Vee even know what they're talking about? And he would just take those questions and just break them down, and he would just leave those guys just and then if they tried to say, well, no, we think it's this, and he would just go after him and boom, boom, boom. No, it's not. It's this, and
and here's why.
And here's why. And he just boom, 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 and then every once in a while he'd interject from what he's doing. He goes, look, because right now I'm working with so and so, and he named these big companies. He's like, well, I'm working with so and so, or I like when he would say, look, if you were to bring me in right now, and all of a sudden I was the partner in the firm with you, I was going to be a partner with you. And obviously, since I know more about marketing than you would say, okay, and you're in charge of marketing. He goes, this is what I would tell you to do. And then he would just tell them, you would do this and this, and he just laid it out. And then they would question him on what he was going to do. But he never wavered on what it was going to do. He goes, no, this is what we would do.
Yeah.
He goes, you're putting your money here. He says, no, we wouldn't do that anymore. Now we're going to do this. And he went on a big discussion because it's a pizza thing and it's very different. But still, it was just listening to him, just on top of his head, there's no notes or nothing. He's just sitting there in his t-shirt,
Mm-hmm.
It was just funny. All right, so we got the Finland thing. So I did go, after that, I ran into the studio and pulled up the clicks thing on it, and that's when I looked at it, and I sent you a text. I said, it's true. We were getting 2 cents a click on the other one.
Right.
And this other one, we're between 20 and 30 cents a click.
Yeah.
So it's more for the U.S. And I was kind of like, oh, it is more. It is, which means we're running out of money sooner every day.
Well,
aren't we?
Well,
if I'm spending 30 cents a click and I only get $5 per day, aren't I going to run through that money quicker in a day than if it was 2 cents a click?
Yeah, but
if that's how it works.
So you're not paying. Okay, follow me. You're not paying per click. You're paying per
view.
Per advertisement, I think. Per time that it shows up on people's phones.
I don't know.
The more frequently that people click,
those things are still running.
On,
still good.
Yeah, on what comes up drives down your cost per click. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So if say you were getting 10,000 of your ads popping up on people's feeds a day, and that was costing you, let's say, $10 for easy math, and half of those people were, clicking on that, that's less per click than if only 1,000 people were clicking on it, right? Mm-hmm. That means that you've paid more to get fewer clicks than the other way, and I think that's how your cost per click fluctuates. So it's not necessarily.
But it is true that when we look at the results there, it's better if we see lower costs per click.
Definitely. That means you're getting.
I'm getting a better deal.
Yeah, you're getting
more bang for the buck.
More action, more attention
for less money.
For.
And if you think about it, even though it doesn't sound like a lot, well, there's no big difference between 20 cents and 30 cents. But when you for a math guy, the difference between 2 cents and 20 cents, that's a lot.
Heck yeah, it is.
That's a lot.
That's tenfold.
Yeah, exactly.
1,000%.
Exactly. So our efficiency in terms of our ads in the United States compared to what we were getting on the first set that we sent out, it's plummeted.
Yeah.
I mean, you could use that word plummet because, like I said, it's like tenfold just.
Right.
And even though I'm not a math guy, I could tell just by the way my phone is reacting.
Yeah. By how much attention you're receiving is actually coming to your
Exactly. It's like a little trickle now.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they're still showing up, but people aren't engaging with them because I'm getting lost with all the other crap that they're seeing.
Exactly. I think competition is your issue here. There's just so many things to look at. Everybody's got to pick one at a time. And so the chances that they'll pick you over the 8 million other things.
And I know how I go through it. I go through mine pretty quick too. I just, I'll move because there's all kinds of stuff on there.
Yeah.
now, you
All of a
know.
sudden, some graphic is going to catch
Yeah,
your eye,
it's
and you
like,
go,
oh.
"Ooh, what is that?"
Yeah, kind of a thing.
You know, and whatever clicks with them.
Yeah,
so.
and he was joking. I don't know how he got on the topic about demographics, and he was saying how he used to be down on the older people in terms of ads, because they weren't as engaged as younger people. But he said, what I'm realizing though is they're the best ones because, you know, he kind of joked. He said something like, because when Grandma goes through her feed, they go through it really slow. Because they're older, it takes them a little longer. He says, that's the perfect person you want because the chances of them seeing it are going to be greater. And the good news for us is a lot of the stuff that I'm doing is from music that was done in the 70s and the 80s. And a lot of the ladies that are going to recognize the music, these are ladies who are going to be in their 50s, 60s, and 70s.
Yeah.
And so hopefully and I see their pictures when they you know, do their likes and stuff. And some there's some teeny bopper girls too, but there's ladies who are middle aged or older.
Yeah.
You know, and he goes, yeah, they go through real slow. You know, your grandma and your aunt, they're not doing like we do. You know, we just kind of because we're kind of used to it. You know,
Yeah.
they're not doing that. So yeah, so it plummeted with this next go around of USA ads.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean it's not worth doing, but it was considerably less.
Yeah.
And it's only been a week, right? We started on the 1st. What are we today?
Today's the 4th.
It's only been 4 days.
Yeah.
So we got plenty of time, but I don't expect the reaction to like get bigger or anything or quicker. It's going to just stay like it is. It's going to be like
Right.
a little trickle.
Right, because the market on the phone, each individual phone in the U.S. is not going to substantially change.
No,
You know, throughout
Exactly.
the course of the month, it's going to be more of the same.
it's more of the same, and we just got to ride it out, and that's okay. And if at the end it's like, okay, well, if the U.S. costs us between 20 and 30 cents a click, okay, that's good to know.
Yeah.
Over here it was 2 cents. Well, that's good to know.
Mhm.
In Finland, I don't know. We'll find out.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
All right.
I guess the
I'm gonna grab something to drink. Real quick. What were you gonna say?
I was just going to say, I guess the one thing that might need to be considered in there is even though right now, you know, you're not looking to make $1 billion off of selling,
Anything.
right, anything.
Buying attention.
Right, you're looking for attention, but people who might be willing to pay you for the attention that you command probably would have interest in having your attention be in a more affluent market. You
Yes.
follow me?
Yeah.
So right now, probably not the number one priority, number one top issue, but at some point that may need to be
But I
addressed.
know if it does go the way we're hoping later, and if it's these smaller countries or more obscure countries where the attention first starts, I'm hoping that maybe that might build the momentum where all of a sudden it's kind of like ABBA, where the U.S. and all these other countries are like, who's this ABBA that we're hearing about? And the Australians, and they're selling out concerts in Australia, and they're just this huge thing, and everybody's like, who the heck are these guys? Because of the attention they got in Australia, that made everybody else say, well, who are these guys? And so maybe if we get a lot of attention in some of these smaller little pockets that are a little bit more obscure and that gets kind of big, they'll say, who's this rogue guy who in India and the Middle East and Finland or wherever is like, I mean, his stuff's everywhere and they're playing his stuff, and it's like, who is this guy? And then maybe we can kind of capitalize on that later.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
fun though.
Yeah, it is. Well, yeah, attention anywhere is not a bad thing.
No.
It's just, you know, depending on how things go, at some point you may want to try and influence it
Yes.
one direction or another.
Yes. Eventually we're going to have to take what we've learned after we go around the world and say, okay, now what?
Right.
You know, type of a thing. I think what Gary would probably tell us is once we've done that and we've determined where these pockets are where we have a lot of attention, he probably would say, okay, now if you're getting a lot of attention, we'll just say Finland, it's like, you know, you're getting tons of attention in Finland. Now you need to get more specific. Is it the teenage girls? Is it the middle-aged girls? Is it the older ladies? And when you do your ads, if you take it to the next level, it's kind of like a funnel. You know, right now we're at the top of the funnel and we're trying to figure out, and then we're trying to get more and more narrow.
Right.
It says now it's like, okay, now you need to do, you know, it lets you do 6. So we've gone around the world and we've determined Finland's like huge for our attention. Okay, now we're gonna, you know, the Facebook thing lets us do 6 pictures. Okay, now we're gonna go out to Finland again, and we're gonna do 6 pictures, And this picture, we're going to try to pick one that we think appeals to teeny boppers, and this one to older ladies or whatever. And then we run the ads, and then we I think that's what's going to happen is we're going to try to really get it narrow so that down the road we know exactly where we need to go tour. Where we need to go tour. We need to know how much the plane ticket's going to cost. It's going to be just, are we going to Florida or are we going to Japan?
Yep.
All right. Next on my list. Anything else we need to say on that?
I don't think so.
So I mentioned to you that we got Spotify verified.
Right.
Just out
yeah.
of the blue.
Yeah.
And
Cool.
I don't know how or why it happened. The only thing I can
So you hadn't applied for that one?
No.
Oh.
No.
Okay.
I hadn't. I didn't even know how to do it because some of them will let you. Actually, most of them don't. But I hadn't applied to be verified for Spotify. And then all of a sudden, I was there doing something, and I went to my site, and there was the blue check mark, and I was like, oh, shoot. And the only thing I can figure is we're up to 250 monthly things now, so we're in triple digits, kind of a thing. I don't know. Something happened. Somebody at Spotify said, okay, it's time. The one that I had requested was the Instagram one.
Okay.
Now, I already got rejected.
Oh.
And it says on the rejection you can try again in a month. And I can see why they did. I went and looked at, it's not that I think there's anything wrong with the content, but in terms of how many people I'm following on Instagram and how many are actually following me, the numbers aren't that impressive. So I think if I was the Instagram guy and I looked at mine, I'd probably say to myself, I think this guy's up and coming, but not quite yet. And I would say, and I think the reason he's up and coming is because we looked at, he's on everything. And even Spotify's already kind of given him his little check mark, And he's on every platform you could think of, but he's like at the beginnings of things, I would say, maybe in another year. I said, I have a feeling he will. He'll get there, but not quite yet. Let's hold off. Maybe it'll give him some incentive to, try harder.
Yeah.
Kind of
Put
thing.
more effort in.
Yeah, put more effort into it. And it doesn't affect us anyway. The only thing that those check marks do is it just helps people who are looking for us to know that that's really us and it's not one of these other things. We don't have that problem right now. Nobody's going out making a website on row.
Right.
But Elvis, there's tons of them.
Right.
Or we'll pick somebody alive, Elton John. All of Elton John's stuff on all those platforms, they're all verified, they'll have check marks so that when you go there that that's the real guy. And all these other ones are just people who just really love him, and I'm going to do an Elton John Instagram page because I just love his music,
Yeah.
So that's the only way. So right now it's not even an issue. So you can see why I had to make my list?
Yeah.
Because it's just like all this stuff floating around in my head. It helps me to organize it too. We were talking about, the merch advertising stuff. So I think the last time we talked about it, we said maybe when we're done with the United States thing, that might be the time to start doing the Facebook, Instagram ads on the merchandise. And I don't know, in my gut, I'm almost thinking, we already got the website up, it's there. There's nothing keeping people from finding it even now. We just haven't done any ads on it.
Right.
I'm wondering if maybe we hold off a little longer. I don't know. It almost seems like, I don't know if we have enough attention out there. If anything, it'd be like, okay, let's do one of them and send and do the ad in India.
Right.
Kind of a thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I think you definitely need to be known by
first
some group of people before anybody's going to say, oh yeah,
I want a hat.
those. Yeah.
Yeah. And other than that, they're going to be wanting to just because they think it looks cool, But
Right.
that's not going to. I think that's going to maybe come later, kind of thing. And again, we have the merchandise site up. It's there. It's linked to everything. And if there was this one woman who really liked it, there's nothing to prevent her from doing that now. We just haven't done any ads on it.
Right.
And I'm almost thinking that if we do it now, it might be just a waste of money.
That's kind of what I'm thinking. Really,
It's $150.
Yeah.
And and where are you going to put it? Are you going to do it in the U.S.? Are you going to do it in Finland? Are you going to do it in India? Are you going to do? Where are you going to do it? And is anything going to come of it? I just have a hard time picturing somebody flipping through their phone, not knowing who the heck I am,
Right.
and stopping on that
Picture
of the
hat.
T-shirt, the hat,
Yeah.
and saying, "Yeah, I'm going to buy one."
Yeah, exactly. If they don't know who you are already, why would they now? I mean, there's some possibility, I suppose, that they go, "Wow, that's kind of cool. Wow, what is this?"
Yeah,
and then,
exactly.
And then they find you because of it, but, you know,
It almost seems like it might be too soon.
I think so too.
You know, Gary has said, you know, this, you have to look at this as a long-term, 10-year, 20-year thing out, and the money part's going to come on the back end, and it's not going to come until you've created a lot of attention for yourself, and that's when people are going to start to notice, and then it's going to happen later. That's just the reality of it.
Yeah.
You know, and thank God we have jobs. You know, day jobs.
Exactly.
So we don't have to worry about it.
We'd be starving to death.
So maybe let's just let that kind of ruminate in our heads. You know? Let's see, what else? I want to do, we haven't done one yet. We said we were going to do videos where I talk about the individual songs. We haven't done any of those yet. I think maybe we might try to do one maybe Thursday, depending on how tired you are or how tired I am. We've never done one of those. And the reason that it was occurring to me is, you know how I've been taking our little practice sessions and chopping them up and doing the IGTV kind of things and the unboxing stuff. And in my head, I was thinking, if I was on the receiving end of that, I wonder if I'd be getting maybe bored. You know, it's like, okay, he's done these IGTV videos and he's giving me these 10-minute things, and they're kind of interesting, but you know, you give me 5 of them in a row that are you having to do with unboxing, and you give me 5 in a row where you're practicing in the studio, and then you just give me one with the T-shirt, which was kind of cool because it was kind of different. So I'm thinking maybe kind of to change it up a little bit, maybe the strategy shouldn't be, even though the video was an hour and I have to chop it up into 10-minute segments, you know, to deliver it on IGTV, maybe the strategy shouldn't be to do them all one right after the other. Maybe the strategy is to do like 2 or 3 and then throw a T-shirt video in there. 2 or 3 and then show where I talk about one of the songs, and then go back to that, and then, you know, kind of break it up a little bit. Or maybe nobody cares and nobody's noticing. I don't know. But maybe it's me because I'm the one that's loading them, and I'm kind of like, oh, another one? You know, it's like, this is, you know, because there's like the last one is like the Behind the Tears and Smiles. We're on number 8, and it was at 8, A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. I mean, there's like 7 of them in a row. Now, I mean, people are watching them, you know?
I think from watching YouTube and watching series, you know, of
Maybe they like them all together.
of videos, yeah, you know, they do. And I know a lot of times I'll watch, you know, some of these shows where somebody's making something, and it's a multi-part series because it takes several days, you know, to make whatever it is being made, and they'll put out a video every day. And so if a lot of times I'll come in the middle, I mean, sometimes it'll be, you know, 10, 13 part series.
Okay, so you're confirming that that's not unusual to have
No.
all these little parts all connected together.
Right. Now this is on YouTube, so a lot of them are longer. They might be 20, even sometimes 30-minute videos.
Because the YouTube ones we're leaving all together. It's
Right,
like a
right.
whole hour.
Yeah. So, you know, what I'll do is I'll go back and start at the beginning if it looks like something I'm interested in watching, you know, and I'll watch episodes
catch
1,
up.
2, 3, 4, you know, and then every day I'll kind of go back and to watch episode 5, and the next day 6, and the next day 7 until, you know, they get the thing done, whatever it is they're doing, and then find out, okay, what's this guy making next, you know, kind of a thing. So
You think it might annoy him if I broke it up? Almost. It's kind of like, hey, where's the next one?
That's another thing. Like even on YouTube, so you can post an hour-long video on YouTube, you know, and a lot of times when I'm going through YouTube, depending on, you know, am I vegging on the couch and I got, you know, the whole day to waste, or you know, then yeah, a 1 hour long video doesn't bother me if it's something I'm interested in, right? But sometimes it's like, oh yeah, I gotta go do this or do that in an hour. Well, I don't want to watch an hour-long video right now because I've got to be there in an hour, you know. So maybe I'll watch a couple of 20-minute videos and then take off, and I'll skip that hour-long video. You know, it all depends on how people do that. I think.
Well, the good news for us is we have both. You know,
Yeah.
we're putting the whole hour one on YouTube,
Right.
and then if you don't want to do the whole hour, you can go watch the exact same video, having been chopped up into 10-minute bites, because that's all that IGTV will give us.
Right.
And you can watch those 10-minute bites one every day. And that's what I've been doing. I've been putting them up there one every day.
Or you can watch 3 of them, and then when you have to go to your appointment, you take off. And
Yeah.
whatever it happens to be, right?
So maybe it's not an issue. I was just wondering or worried that maybe somebody's like, again, I mean, it's a continuation of that again, but like I said, if they're into it, they're into it, I guess. You know?
Exactly. If they're into it, they're going to watch them. If it doesn't interest them, they're going to maybe watch the first
Nope.
one or.
No big deal either way.
Right, and then it's just like, okay, so they don't watch the rest of them.
Because this one's almost done, and the next one that I'm going to be chopping up is the one where we had our conversation at El Grullo. Remember that one?
Yeah.
And it wasn't this long, but I'll still have to chop it up, a little bit.
Sure.
Because if we talk more than 10 minutes, like this one's going to have to get chopped up.
Yep.
And this one, I mean, from my point of view, it's kind of interesting, because we're talking even some business stuff here. It's kind of,
Right.
anybody's interested in kind of just what we're doing and why we're doing it and all this new stuff might be kind of intriguing for them. But I'm going to have to chop this one up too
Yeah.
into 10-minute segments.
Yeah.
So, just keep going with what I'm doing now and just keep on trucking.
Yeah, I think so.
The other thought I had was to double it up, where it's just more work for me though. I was thinking, okay, I do what we're doing already, and then in addition to that, in other words, I'll upload one in the morning and one in the afternoon that's totally unrelated, kind of a thing. I was like, oh my gosh, not only is it more work,
You
it's
got to keep
just,
track of it.
I got to keep track
It's a
of
whole
it.
Another chart.
Yeah, I can put another chart on my computer. Whereas this is not too bad because it's kind of like, okay, all the number 8s are done. Now it's time for number 9. And I put the long version on YouTube. Then I make my chops and I start putting them on IGTV.
Mm-hmm.
And the YouTube one goes to Facebook automatically.
Mm-hmm.
And no, let me get that right. The YouTube one goes to Twitter
All right.
automatically. And the Instagram IGTV one, it goes automatically to Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
So you're getting 4 platforms
Right. With 2 uploads.
with 2 uploads, which is nice.
Yeah.
So maybe I'm just overthinking it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're probably fine. Like, if they're bored, well, there's plenty of other stuff to watch. Not that you really want them watching somebody else's.
The other thing that
watching yours, but there's
kind of,
plenty other on yours too.
I don't know if I want to use the word panic, what made me kind of like, oh shoot, was, again, listening to Gary where he was saying, it's all about, he mentioned, and I never heard him say this, I catch these little snippets here and there where I kind of go, whoa, what did he just say? He was talking about YouTube and he was talking about Facebook in terms of videos. And he was saying, look, even for me, he's talking about himself. He says, the people who are watching my videos is more on Facebook, because Facebook allows you to put videos on it.
Mm-hmm.
They're watching my videos more on Facebook than they are on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
And that made me sit up because I had told you, I said, Dongoose, they are watching our stuff on YouTube, but compared to the amount of views on Facebook, it's a huge difference. We're like, if there's a video that we have on Facebook, it'll have 30 views, and on YouTube it'll have 2. There's a huge difference, And so he confirmed what was happening to us is kind of happening to him too. And the reason why it made me kind of panic a little bit is I said, well, then that means a lot of those earlier videos that we had put on there where we were doing one in the recording studio, one where I was performing live, one while I was doing a practice. Remember how we were doing 3 per song?
Mm-hmm.
Those aren't in Facebook.
Right.
They're just in YouTube. But then I remembered my Facebook has a tab called YouTube on it.
Mm.
So it's there. They just have to click on it and all those videos are there. Because in my head I was like, oh crap, I'm going to have to start grabbing all those videos that we did a long time ago and start uploading those into Facebook on top of what I'm already doing. And that's why it made me go to panic, because I was like, oh my gosh, this sounds like so much more work and another chart, and oh my god. And then I was like, so in my mind I was like, okay, I'm going to have to start doing that. I got no choice because the people on Facebook haven't seen those earlier videos. And then I remembered, I go, oh no, that's not true. In my Facebook there is a tab called YouTube, and if you click on it, all those videos are there.
Mm.
So that made me go, type of a thing. So anyway, but the issue about who's watching, if they're watching more on Facebook than they are on YouTube, which is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Apparently we're not the only ones. But I'd still like to start doing those individual ones, even if we don't do it for the sake of boredom of the people. We just need to start doing that. We
Yeah.
need to do that for all 12 songs.
Right.
We need to do that. Let's see, what else? I think that's basically it. At least that's all that's on my list that I can think about. So the only thing that we have to concern ourselves with right now then is Tuesday we've got the performance at the Burrow House. I think that's going to be fine as far as that goes. Anything you can think of that we haven't covered?
No, we're gonna swing by there, see what their setup is.
Yeah, we got to get that done. Maybe we'll do that Thursday night. Maybe when we, because that video is not going to take long. If we just do one song, which is all I really want to do, because I don't want it to be stressful.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like when we did the t-shirt thing. Just jump in there real quick, do a fun little video on, we'll do the first song, it's one of those nights.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about Cassidy and all that kind of cool stuff. And then maybe go eat when we're done, and then drive by there and find out whether or not there's already drums there, or is Raul going to have to bring his own drum set in.
Mm-hmm.
I think the most interesting thing that we talked about was that earlier stuff, the business part of it, just in terms of the ads and stuff. I think that was kind of intriguing in terms of how to handle that kind of a thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's it. Yes? All right, let's shut the cameras off. I think we're good.